Lane is by far a better DJ than Barack. We've
Would
all
you
come
call
to
him
agree
DJ?
on
I
that,
totally
right?
agree. I totally agree.
But
No
I
doubt.
will say this is like, you know what? I walked into where you don't really walk into a Discord, do you? I entered into the Discord, right? Would be the proper time. What's the proper linguistics for that? Do you walk in or do you just enter a Discord?
I think you just enter. You just show up, right?
Okay, the big wise guy. I walk into Discord all the time. Good morning, GM. I feel like big wise guy is my third base coach, and I read the comments to see where I have to course correct over the course of these time halls and our things, right? So it's like it's great. Like I feel like if I like air off to the side, big wise guy always jumps in with a comment in the comments to keep me in place.
I feel
We
like
have people from Asia. They have no idea what you're talking about. So you need to put it in cricket terms.
yeah.
So wow. Okay, it's 10:01, and we're already at 230 people in the time hall. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. We have a fun day. We have two special guests. The senior reporter Andrew Chow, who is the editor of Times Into the Metaverse newsletter, is joining us today with Santiago Siri, who is the subject of today's article and founder of Democracy Earth Foundation, and I'll get into that in a bit. We're going to walk you through registration logistics and sort of the rollout of Slices of Time. Maya will take you through that. We'll give you some updates, from a tech perspective, from the community perspective, and some key, upcoming programs. But it was brought to my attention this morning, and I feel like it's important to pause for a second and recognize that today, Timo, do you know what today is?
Good day.
Well, yes, it's always a good day.
It's a time hall day. I don't know. Tell me more.
It's like it's the 8th anniversary of the announcement of Ethereum.
Oh, that is good.
Isn't that I feel like, but here's why I would bring it up. Like normally I'd be like, okay, that's cool. Like we don't need to bring it up. But the reality is that the one thing that has essentially really brought this whole community and most of Web3 together is the Ethereum blockchain. And so I feel like I want to take a moment of silence just to sort of like respect ETH. Is that fair?
No, I think that's great.
Wise guy, are we good? We're like King T on pour one out for ETH, right? Like I love the comments, right? Like, so this past week, we crossed 15,000 followers on Twitter. It feels like it was yesterday that we passed 10,000. We're doing this all organically, and so this is really important to us as we watch this grow. And Discord, is now nearly 12,000. And a huge thank you to, you, Timo, and our incredible mods, as this community continues to grow. From a programming perspective, this past week, we hosted the world-renowned artist JR and Charlotte Abramow, both of whom are part of Slices of Time Drop. And I could see in the audience, there's many artists right now that are here that were either in the Genesis Drop or, the Slices of Time, whether it is, John Mavradis, whether it's Nyla is here, whether it is Kwame. I'm seeing Brobel. I see Ben Strauss. I see I see Carlos Luna James. I mean, and so we're so excited about this upcoming drop. At the same time, we hosted after the JR talks with Charlotte. We hosted Deepak Chopra, the world-renowned Deepak Chopra, to lead a discussion on mental wellness as well as meditation, which, we all felt was much needed early in the week, definitely, with the swings that everyone was experiencing. And, personally, I left that, and I don't know if you were at that, if you're in the audience today and you joined us for those, but we opened that up to everyone. But I've never thought so much about my vagus nerve in my life, right? Like I felt like I talked about the vagus nerve to this day. But like all kidding aside, we do want you to know that we are here as a community to support your whole self, right? Like, whether it is good days or hard days, and the way that we can support you is twofold. One is we could be a positive, optimistic, uplifting community, which is what we strive to be from our values. The second is through programming, right? And people like Deepak coming into the conversation. And if you have people that you would like to join, who you think, from a wellness perspective, would be really wonderful, like please let me know, right? I see Cheese. Cheese said in the comments, he was I was so relaxed after that meditation or snowman. What a treat that was. Like, thank you all, right? Like, for joining us. And like, these are really important to us. And so if you have suggestions as to people who you would like from a wellness perspective or programming perspective, let us know. Also tomorrow, and this is my final announcement on the programming front, and Lane will also jump into it as well later. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. at 8 Eastern Time, at 8 p.m. UTC, we're hosting the actor and UN humanitarian Kat Graham. You may know her from Vampire Diaries, as well as Nyla, for a discussion about creativity and positive impact using NFTs. And so, join us for that as well. Kat, in full disclosure, is one of my closest, dearest friends. She's been an incredible supporter. She's actually in Shayna Wilson's Genesis piece, if you look closely. But it'll be a fun discussion. But obviously, the biggest announcement of the week has been the unveil of our second signature drop, Slices of Time. And, like, wow, like we're over 400 people in the room right now. I just love this. And again, thank you all so much for joining us. With the unveil of Slices of Time, it's our second signature drop. We hope you love the incredible art, both by DW as well as by the 38 amazing artists that contributed. And secondly, I don't know, secondly, if secondly is a word, then I'm going to use secondly now, and you all get what I'm saying. But like, we hope that you like the fact that you're going to have complete control over this drop. Do I keep this slice of time? Do I burn it for the chance for a Drift piece, a Carlos piece, a JR piece, a Zook piece? Zook's piece sold yesterday on Super Rare for $56,000. Drift's pieces are selling, at $100,000. So like, the question is do I keep this? Do I burn it? We're excited to see how this rolls out. And Maya is going to give more details on registration after Andrew and Santiago chat. And registration will open up this evening, and we will walk you all through everything, and then we'll post it into the announcements, so that way you have a place to see. And then minting, she'll walk you through the minting as well. But first, we have two special guests, and Wayne, do we see, is Andrew there? Is Santiago there? There we go. Moving Andrew up to speaker. Santiago, can you raise your hand?
Santiago's running 5 minutes late, so let's see if he's here. And if it's not, I think we can talk about our registration details first.
Awesome.
And then we can pass it over to Andrew and Santiago.
Perfect.
Andrew,
so let's
welcome to the stage.
Andrew, how are you? So we'll keep Andrew up here, and let's do that. Is that when you see Santiago, Lane, we just bring him up onto stage, and then Maya. I don't think anyone wants to hear any details about this mint or anything.
All right, well,
So
then
keep it quick. Keep it quick.
I'll keep it quick. No. So we're super excited, as Keith mentioned. The drop is just spectacular. I love every piece more than the last, and my wallet is cringing at the potential. But so excited. So as Keith noted, registration for Slices of Time starts today, January 27th, on nft.time.com. around 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. UTC. It will close on February 3rd at 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. UTC, so you have plenty of time to register. So, you know, no worries if today's a busy day for you. Genesis holders do not have to register your Genesis pieces, so those are already pre-registered for you. But if you hold any other timepieces, you do need to register those during this registration period, so we have an understanding of approximately how many pieces there's intent to mint. Not holding you to it, but just like we're trying to think of it like an RSVP. We're trying to understand how many people. Inspiration, Nyla, Photo, and TimeCat holders must register to mint. Again, you're going to nft.time.com to do that. And then for those of you who don't have any of those pieces or not holders yet, and are not eligible, never fear. We will be announcing giveaway opportunities for our allow list, and have also given many of our partner community friends allow list spots. So the people you've seen up here recently, plus, you know, the Robotos and the Cool Cats and the Toy Boogers and so many. It's actually a long list, and we'll be sure to post it so that if you're members of those communities, you might be able to have an opportunity there. Those who make another community's allow list will also be pre-registered to mint, and you don't need to register separately. So just real quickly to state it again, Genesis don't have to register if you're only going to mint your Genesis, but if you want to mint other things, please go register. Inspiration, Nyla, and Photo have to register. And then there are people on other communities' allow lists do not have to register. And just a note, because, you know, part of the allow list in other communities is to make sure that we get as many new friends as possible. So timepiece holders are not eligible to win additional spots on other partner community lists. So if you hold pieces here, please leave those spots for members of other communities or members of our own community who don't currently hold. Next up, how many pieces can you mint? So Genesis can mint have 2 mints per piece. Inspiration, Photo, and Nyla have 1 mint per piece. TimeCats are 1 mint per wallet, and partner community allow list is a single mint. So to put this in other terms, let's say I have a wallet, I have 2 Genesis, 1 Inspiration, 2 Nyla, 3 cats. Then I'm eligible for 8 mints, and that breaks down to I have 4 for my 2 Genesis, so 2 pieces each, 3 for my Inspiration and Nyla, 1 piece each, and 1 for my 3 cats because it's 1 per wallet. Does that make sense to everybody? And
yes,
then,
and by the way, hold on,
Yeah.
I saw Heater Boom Beater asked that question, and I believe
how much per mint?
that is, you know, I think you answered the first one. The second one is if you use your TimeCat, yes, it burns to the TEG version afterwards.
Yes, absolutely. And so you do have to keep your TimeCat in your wallet for minting so that it will be burned, just as we had to for Nyla. You don't have to do the math yourself, though, if you don't want. When you go to mint, we will tell you how many you're eligible for, and there will be an opportunity to select how many of those pieces you want to mint, or if you want to use your TimeCat or not, as it is a one-time mint pass. So for example, if you own 2 Genesis and a TimeCat and you don't want to mint your TimeCat because you want to hold on to it, you will be asked what you want to mint, and you don't have to worry about us burning your cat by accident. So when is the mint happening? The mint is Genesis will have a pre-mint on February 9th and 10th. Everyone else will be February 11th through 13th with the remaining pieces. And a reminder to Keith's point about rarity, like all of this, the number of people who register will set the starting number of pieces. And the Genesis only mint will set what's left. And the 11th through 13th will be a first come, first served element. So there will be a little bit of that, but still with the number of pieces should be plenty of time to not have gas wars. So as noted, the mint cost is 0.05 ETH plus gas. And when you mint, you will not immediately see your slice of time. That reveal will happen on February 13th post mint. And the trade and burn part of the slices of time will run from February 14th through 23rd. And that's the period of time where you get to decide, am I holding on to my slice of time, or am I trading it in and burning it for one of the pieces of art? And as noted last week, the cool part of that is, you know, as things go and as you make those decisions, the scarcity of each of those pieces will change over time.
Maya, can I just jump in on 1 second? So the price is 0.05 ETH plus gas. What we wanted to do was we wanted to set a price that was actually 50% less than what the Genesis mint price was, and about 40% of what the Nyla mint price was, because we didn't know who would want to burn and who wouldn't want to burn, and we wanted to take into account the gas aspect of it as well. So besides that, I just wanted to give sort of people rationale into the pricing, but we wanted to make it as accessible as possible. Right now, and I rarely ever mention floor prices, because I think that they're completely irrelevant in terms of how we're thinking about the long-term vision of the brand in Web3. But the Nylas, I think, are close to 0.33, and the Genesis is close to like 0.40, and the Inspiration airdrop, which was free, is above 0.05. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows exactly what it is. And to Soundwave's question of will burning the slice of time cost gas? Yes, like that's the only aspect. There's no additional fee, and that's why we brought the price down below the 0.10 that the Genesis pieces were. And then the only last.
Oh, sorry.
What's up?
Oh, Snowman's still confused about the burning process, so I would love to get to that one.
Oh, sure. So let me just do one last thing, because I think it was IBK wanted to hear me say it again, but heater boom beater. Okay. So that was, there we go. Okay. So,
so Snowman, can you tell, I can try and be more specific about the burning process, or if you can be more specific about your questions, I'll try and get to that. But basically, so the burn works in that when you first mint, what you're minting is a slice of time, one of DW's pieces. Then there will be, when the minting period is over, we will open up a 10-day period where people can choose to hold or burn, and anytime in that period. And so you would look at your piece, and we will be also kind of giving daily updates on a leaderboard of sorts about where we are with the various pieces that are out in the marketplace. And then so you can make the decision as you go. I like to think of it as a game show where you have you have $100,000, and the question is, do you want to go for door number 3, an unknown random piece of art from one of these incredible artists, or hold on to this incredible slice of time that you already know what it is. So and I guess Big Wise Guy and IBK are kind of addressing and if this is actually a technical question about how that burn works, obviously we can get TJ to speak about that more. But you go to a page where you say, I want to turn in this slice of time in exchange for a piece of art. As noted, there will be gas fees for doing that transaction, but you would be delivered a new piece of art from one of the 38 artists that you can see that were revealed yesterday. Does that help? And if there are more specific questions, happy to do it. Yes, one slice of time per one piece of new art, correct.
And it will be completely random as to distribution, correct, Maya?
Correct. Whatever you turn in, you will be sent a random piece of art. And then if you go look, oh, thank you, Timo, for the slice of time looks like this. And then just for clarity, and you can see all of this on the site that was released yesterday, but there are timepieces. The slices of time have red and white borders. The individual artist pieces have red and white borders, and then the dual side-by-sides have red and white borders as well. So those are the things that you might get.
And yes, to SM Elliott.
Dark Starks, yes, you might end up with 2 of the same.
And red
I will
borders
defer
will be
to
random
somebody
too.
smarter than me on what the chances are of that, but yes, it is possible.
It's equal. So to Nimi Pimi, which I might go in a strong competition with Heater Bomb Beater. It's equal between all artists.
It starts equal between all artists. The random distribution may not make it equal in the end.
And to Isis, Jay, which anytime, and Nimi Pimi anytime. He says, yeah, like Pac was a big influence on us on this. Mel Tall was a huge influence, who's brilliant as it relates to strategy and tokenomics. And honestly, like some of the feedback we were hearing from the community on what would be fun was a huge influence on this. And so,
can I change my username to Banana Fanana Bonbana? I like that idea. And then
you want to be Banana Bobana?
Bofana.
I am. To Wozni, yes, I am enjoying the names. I do like the names. I think that's the best, one of the best aspects of Web3 is the fun names of people within it. Maya, anything else on this?
I think that's it. I mean, the mods, any of us are open to answering more questions over the course of time. Just a reminder, registration for Inspiration, Nyla, and Photo starts today around 5 p.m. and goes until February 3rd. So
Gotcha.
I'll just get us back to the next step, if that helps.
And by the way, somebody asked, is there any difference in utility between slices and the artist's pieces? No, like they'll be treated the same.
And they'll be in the middle column with Inspiration and Nyla.
Yeah, I'm not Juliet Charlie. You're .eth. I'm a .eth too, so we may be related. But your screen name is just not as fun as Heater Bomb Beater. So I just want to give you acknowledgement, but and call out that question. It's a great question. Awesome. Maya, anything else?
I think that's it for now, and it looks like we have Santi here, so I'm so excited for that conversation. I'd love to.
Awesome. So do you want to introduce Andrew and Santi?
Oh, well, sure. So we're super excited to have Andrew and Santi here. Andrew Chow is a Time editor responsible for our recently launched Metaverse newsletter, and his special guest in the newsletter this week is Santi Suri, who is the founder of Democracy Earth Foundation, which is a nonprofit that built universal basic income on Ethereum, which I find incredible and fun on the 8th anniversary of the launch of Ethereum, and the Proof of Humanity protocol. He's the executive director of the DAO Education, which builds educational tools for the Information Society. And he is also an author of a book called Hacktivismo. Love that name. That would be a good handle too. And so Andrew and Santi, take it away.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Loud and clear, Andrew. Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much, Maya. Thank you, Keith. And it's great to be here. Santi, what's up?
All good, all good. I just saw that you tweeted, Time Magazine tweeted the article, so I guess I'll be dealing with replies while we talk.
Amazing. Yeah, so as Maya said, I write the weekly newsletter Into the Metaverse. Generally I write about culture, tech, and Web3. I'm always looking for new ideas. So anybody in the chat, it's amazing to see you all here. Please reach out to me if you have any ideas here or on Twitter. I see one person who I've already interviewed actually, which is Kwame, aka Dark Mist, an amazing artist. Go check out his work. But this week I interviewed Santi about Proof of Humanity, which is a really cool project and ties really well into sort of our ETH anniversary today. I just want to read my opening paragraph for some context. So here we go. When Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, has been asked lately about his favorite projects being built on the blockchain, he often names Proof of Humanity. Created by the nonprofit Democracy Earth Foundation, Proof of Humanity looks something like an online phone book on which people can sign up and add their citizenship, degrees, or skills. But while the concept is very simple on its surface, Buterin hopes that the system will be an on-ramp to all sorts of more advanced benefits, including better and fair voting processes, UBI, Universal Basic Income, and social media networks that aren't overrun with bots and misinformation. So I'm super excited to talk to Santi again, and we're talking about the problem of digital identity as it exists now in Web 2 and how it might be better in Web 3. So Santi, what are the issues with digital identity right now, and what do you hope Proof of Humanity, how do you hope Proof of Humanity will solve them?
So when we look at the history of of the internet and specifically the history of the web protocols, the hypertext transfer protocol, the HTTP we write every day when we go into a browser. The two things are notoriously lacking from that protocol. One is identity, human identity or formalized identity in any way. And the other one is privacy. And none of those two things, even though they were on the roadmap and there were some documentation about developing those features natively into HTTP and into the web protocols, nothing was ever developed. And that led to capture by a handful of Silicon Valley big companies, big tech companies. Notoriously, Facebook has become the de facto passport of people's identity over the internet. And the problem with that is that, well, Facebook is a private company and has a business model based on advertising. And by having our right to identity heavily centralized into the Facebook experience and effectively privatized or subject to private interests, that leads to a lot of tragic outcomes that we have seen over the last years, where our ability to have control over our data is non-existent. We are constantly being fed advertisements and all kinds of manipulation throughout social media in a way that we have no ability to really counterbalance how we are being manipulated over the internet. We have no right whatsoever to audit who is a real identity or isn't a real identity on the Facebook network. And this allows for all kinds of manipulation happening online. When we interact with social media on Twitter or on Facebook or on Instagram, anywhere, and we see a lot of retweets or we see a lot of likes, we have absolute no certainty if those retweets or likes are from real humans and thus providing some legitimacy, or more likely, as we all know too well, those likes or those retweets come from an army of bots trying to manipulate the content online. And so identity is the one vulnerability being exploited by all systems. It's the mother of all battles. And the right to human identity or human rights shouldn't be subject to private interests of a handful of corporations that are driven by a business model based on advertisement or on trying to that pushes those organizations to address to target us constantly and to constantly attack our privacy and our ability to move freely online. So proof of humanity is a step towards trying to figure out how we can do decentralized human identity. This is a project built in collaboration between Democracy Earth Foundation and Kleros, a French cooperative, also a very talented army of hackers. And it's simply a protocol built on top of Ethereum. Right now works on layer 1, but very soon we're launching also on Gnosis chain. That you have to generate a proof of yourself with a brief video. In that video, you have to make a statement where you say, I certify that I'm a real human and I do not have a registry in this registry. And once you submit that video, you need to get a vouch from someone else, and you need to pay for a deposit, which can also be crowdfunded if you don't have the funds to do it. Then you will go through a period of 3.5 days where someone can challenge your identity if that identity effectively has a duplicate or someone who looks very similar. And if you are challenged, that will go into an arbitration system. That's where Kleros comes into place and helps to resolve whether or not an identity is valid in the registry. So far, we have been able to generate a registry with almost 15,000 human identities. Around 500 or so have been challenged. And the exciting thing, once you have human identity or decentralized human identity built on Ethereum, is that you can start thinking about social applications built on Ethereum. Obviously, a very simple application is social media where bot manipulation is not possible. That's something that could be achieved. But because this is also a blockchain and has economic activity, when we talk about social applications on Web3, these are applications that can directly impact people's pockets. So the very first application we launched with Proof of Humanity was the UBI token, a universal basic income token that once you become verified, you start accruing in real time. You will get streamed into your MetaMask or into your Ethereum wallet fractions of UBI at the rate of 1 UBI per hour. And so far, throughout our first year of activity, we have averaged around $100 worth of UBI per month for all of the people that are participating in the Proof of Humanity experiment. This is very exciting because in some countries like Cuba, Venezuela, or Argentina that have very high inflation and are going through a systemic economic crisis, suddenly something like being able to accrue UBI through the use of Ethereum can provide a bit of relief to people and their families. And it's obviously a very experimental project, but it's been already a year since we launched in March 2021. And we are probably discovering or moving forwards towards understanding how a social Ethereum would look like and what's possible to do in these networks that goes beyond traditional DeFi or more financial applications.
Amazing. Now let's talk a little bit more about UBI. Why is UBI one of the pillars of Proof of Humanity? And then is it scalable? As more and more people join and sign up, do you have confidence that you'll be able to pay out UBI to everyone going forward? What are the funding mechanisms?
Yeah. So when we began the project for the token, we have done a bunch of things that will help the token to be more resilient in terms of price action. So for example, we started with a liquidity mining program where if you provided liquidity on Uniswap, we have assigned a significant chunk of the initial supply to reward those that are contributing liquidity on Uniswap. We have created a series of wire vaults where if you stake Ether or DAI, or there are some new vaults coming with other stable coins, from the yield that you generate by the vault lending those assets into the market, half of the yield is used to buy and burn UBI tokens, and thus reducing supply. And there are video games, NFT games that are using a fee of the transaction in order to burn UBI. There's a couple of projects doing roll-ups that will use a percentage of the fees to support public goods on Ethereum, and a good way to UBI is a public good. So any kind of mechanism that allocates a percentage of its fees to burn UBI tokens automatically is helping everyone accruing UBI on their wallets. Vitalik Buterin, notoriously since the middle of the year, he has a profile on Proof of Humanity, and since October he has been accumulating UBI tokens and burning UBI tokens. He's actually right now the largest individual holder of UBI, and it's an incredibly efficient mechanism, for anyone that wants to have a direct impact into people's lives to support a project like this. I think it's a very young project, has a lot of potential moving forward. To me, it's exciting to see many projects that are looking to allocate a percentage of their fees to burn UBI, thus automatically helping everyone participating on this scheme of universal basic income. And the consequences of this are extraordinary. One is that this is a non-government, non-coercive version of universal basic income that is not using anyone's taxpayer money. This is a global universal basic income. A person in Cuba is receiving the same amount of UBI than a person in the United States or in Kyrgyzstan or Madagascar. It's so in that sense, it's a level playing field technology where everyone gets the same amount of UBI on in real time, and the fact that this can operate through censorship resistant networks like Ethereum means that we can deploy this pretty much anywhere. If more people join the registry, actually that's a good thing for the story of the token, because it's a counterintuitive fact, but the more people join, each new member in the registry actually becomes less and less influential in the inflation rate. So if there's a new if we have 100,000 members and someone new joins, that new person will have little impact over the inflation rate of UBI. If we have 5 members and 1 person joins, that new person will have more influence over the UBI inflation rate. So the more people join, I think the project will get stronger. But obviously, it's important that we also build an ecosystem around the token that generates efficient mechanisms that can help burn the token at scale. Throughout our first year, we have seen almost 30 million UBI generated from an initial supply of 10 million that was used to bootstrap the network on Uniswap and the DAO. But in this first year, from that initial supply, around 7% of the tokens were burned. Roughly around 2 million tokens of UBI were burned. So those are the numbers of 1 year of activity. And those are, in my opinion, key variables that we need to optimize as a community, as an ecosystem. A couple of things that also Proof of Humanity is proving, in my opinion, is that we are a DAO. Proof of Humanity is 100% DAO. And it's every decision the DAO makes is democratic. It's one person, one vote. Because we have Proof of Humanity, we can actually do a democratic DAO. And we use liquid democracy, where you can vote directly on issues or delegate your vote to someone you trust in the ecosystem if you don't have the time to commit into the DAO. And if you check our snapshot page, you will see that we have already voted on 50 decisions or so throughout our first year. Some of these were critical upgrades to improve the protocol itself. And actually, a lot of decisions were even supported with unanimous vote in favor. So it's an exciting community. Proof of Humanity has people from all over the world. And it's exciting to be building this more social side of Ethereum alongside Vitalik himself, the people from Kleros, Democracy Earth, and many other teams and projects that are contributing into the cause with new projects, new ideas, and developments.
Amazing. So speaking of Vitalik, I know he came and visited you and other creators in Argentina. I guess it was a few months ago. Can you tell me what that visit was like, what you talked about, especially as Ethereum moves toward layer 2 solutions?
So yeah, Vitalik was in Argentina for the first time in his life. I'm from Argentina, and that's where my weird accent comes from. And I live in Madrid. I actually live in Spain. But when Vitalik texted me that he was visiting Buenos Aires, I was very proud. It was going to be the first time he was coming to the country. It was going to be an exciting visit for him. He was traveling around Latin America. It was the first time he was going to be there. And it was, Vitalik is a digital nomad. He travels around the world. He has been doing that for the last 8 years. And it was, when I started talking with some friends in Argentina, very quickly I noticed that there was significant interest to meet him, not only from hackers and from the Ethereum community in the country, but actually from some of the most important leaders in the country, like a former president, Mauricio Macri, the mayor of the city. So that led to me actually, suspending my Christmas plans and traveling to Buenos Aires so I could be able to hang out with him. We spent 1 week in Buenos Aires, and to our surprise, and to my surprise also, because I haven't been in Argentina since before the pandemic, the level of adoption among users, everyday users of crypto is enormous. It's far more significant than anything I have ever seen in the US or in Spain. I lived in the US for 5 years. I was expecting high level of adoption of Ethereum among developers and a lot of entrepreneurial efforts. I wasn't expecting that, you know, everyday people that you run into the streets would recognize Vitalik as a superstar. Like Vitalik, for the first time in his life, and I talked about this with him, he couldn't walk more than 2 blocks in the city of Buenos Aires without someone stopping him and asking him for a selfie. He suddenly discovered he has Mick Jagger status in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. And, you know, it's a consequence of an actually very reasonable thing. Argentina has very high inflation, around 50% per year. Argentina has capital controls. It's forbidden to buy US dollars legally, even though there are black markets. And Argentina has subsidized energy. So actually using a miner at home might be very, very profitable. So that combination with the pandemic that apparently gave a lot of people time to sit down and study and learn about these things was the perfect storm. So to me, going back to Buenos Aires kind of felt like jumping into Back to the Future's car and suddenly going to the year 2034 and appearing in this cypherpunk dystopia or utopia, hopefully, where everyone and their mothers is into crypto. If you walk through the streets of Buenos Aires right now, you will see all of the advertisements and billboards in the most important avenues of the city are from crypto companies. A vast majority of these companies are actually Argentine startups that are doing credit cards that do cashback with crypto, or that are doing exchanges. Binance announced last week that they're going to be a sponsor of the Argentina football team, the soccer team, which is, there's a World Cup year. Argentina soccer team is probably the most important cultural thing and sports thing the country has. The entire country is built around our soccer team. And the fact that a major brand is actually becoming the largest sponsor of the national team is kind of a big deal that explains what's going on over there. I think that probably Venezuela is in a similar situation, even though I would say that Venezuela is a full-blown dictatorship and a militarized country all over the streets. Argentina is a much safer place in many ways. But it was a very, very surprising trip. And Vitalik ended up meeting Mauricio Macri, who is probably the leader of the opposition right now. He ended up meeting the mayor of Buenos Aires. He ended up meeting the minister of economy of the country, who's the government itself. The country is now going through a very stressful negotiation with the IMF, and the fact that Vitalik, the minister of economy, is having a picture with Vitalik probably sends an interesting signal into that negotiation. He ended up visiting with me a slum in one of the poorest neighborhoods of Buenos Aires. So he was able to see the reality of how a lot of people live in Argentina, and not just the tourist side of the country. And it was, I think it was a very inspiring trip, because Argentine society and the media and the press and everyone was suddenly very interested in learning about who Vitalik Buterin was, what Ethereum is. The mainstream media was really, really, for the first time, talking about crypto and Ethereum and Vitalik, nonstop, almost 24/7. He made a conference. He realized that he was having a bit of an impact in the country, so he agreed to make a conference for the public, open to the public. The conference sold out literally in 3 minutes. It was a theater for 1,000 people, one of the most beautiful theaters in Buenos Aires. The government of the city gave us the place to do this conference over there. And in 3 minutes, since we published the link on Twitter, the entire conference sold out. And the conference was a packed room with, probably anyone under 30 years old knows who Vitalik Buterin is. And a lot of youth, the young generations of hackers, developers, entrepreneurs, of crypto enthusiasts was there. And the level of excitement to have like this celebrity suddenly being in the country, and in a country that is adopting crypto, not because it's an investment opportunity or it's a theoretical quirk, but because it needs it. and it's really the one alternative that can be used right now. Nothing else works. Having US dollars does not work because it's illegal and it's insecure. Keeping stash of money does not work. Having your money in the bank does not work because banks have stolen people's savings historically since forever in Argentina. So no one trusts banks. So crypto is kind of like the perfect solution. And the new generations get this. And it was, for Vitalik, I think it was suddenly coming in, into terms that, well, maybe in Latin America, he's having a much bigger impact than expected. And I, as an Argentine myself, I was, I've been living abroad for 7 years now. I have left the country 7 years ago, but it was really way beyond any kind of expectation I had in terms of how big the adoption of crypto is in the country. It's significantly big now, and it doesn't seem that it's going to be stopping anytime soon. So that gives me some hope for Latin America and for Argentina specifically, looking into the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Santi. And lastly, I just want to ask you a question posed in the chat from Smithy, who says, the only issue with proof of humanity is you need someone already on the register to validate you. And I don't know anyone that even knows what proof of humanity is. Can you address that?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
How do you sign up for proof of humanity if you don't know anybody on the register?
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people actually go through that, asking for a vouch. And it's one of the mechanisms, proof of humanity, since it's a decentralized registry, it's not like we have someone controlling the database that can decide whether or not you're a human. It's a decentralized system that works with game theory and incentives. But we need to make sure that we don't get, it's expensive or it's hard for a spam bot network to hijack the registry. So that's why we have some requirements. One requirement is that someone already registered in the registry has to vouch for you. There are groups on Telegram. There's the Proof of Humanity crowd vouching group, which is a bot and a group of people that help connect people that are looking for vouchers with people that can keep those vouchers. And there you can connect with someone that will be able to check who you are, and if you have all of the proper requirements, might be willing to give you a vouch. So I recommend checking the Proof of Humanity crowd vouching group. And there, the other requirement is the deposit. You have to you can crowdfund the deposit if you don't have the funds, but right now you have a requirement of 0.15 ETH. That will be staked for 3.5 days, and then you will get it back if you have done everything correctly. If in that window of 3.5 days someone challenges your profile, then the deposit will go into an arbitration court, and there the Kleros mechanism will elect a juror randomly who will have to decide whether or not your profile is valid or is a duplicate or meets the requirements of proof of humanity. You have 7 rounds of appealing through the Kleros mechanism, so you can always make an argument for your profile if you need to. But the mechanism, these 2 mechanisms are there just to prevent that a network of bots or deepfakes or it makes it hard for an attack like that to hijack the system. It's a bit of a technical hurdle, but it's fundamental because no one controls the registry. I don't control. I got challenged myself, actually. So no one has any privileges in proof of humanity. 3 months.
That's hilarious.
3 months into the system, someone noticed that on my original video, I wasn't showing. I didn't even notice myself that I wasn't showing the last 4 characters of my Ethereum address. I was using an iPad, and I didn't realize that I wasn't showing the last 4 characters. So someone challenged me. I didn't appeal the challenge. I actually agreed with the challenge, and I did the registration all over again for myself. So even some billionaires were challenged. Alexis Ohanian of Reddit, he did the proof of humanity profile, and he got challenged because he didn't display properly the label of his Ethereum address, and he got challenged. So no one has any privileges. An interesting fun fact about how vouchers work is that for example, if people ask me for vouchers, which happens all the time, and people are always asking me for vouchers, probably it's not a good idea to ask me, because vouchers that you give are processed sequentially. So if I give you one voucher, after 3.5 days, then my next voucher will be processed for the next person, and then the next one and the next one in a sequential way. So vouchers are not processed in parallel. And that also is a mechanism to prevent a spam bot network from hijacking the system. Because if a fake account suddenly can vouch for a lot of people at the same time, it can probably do that for a lot of fake accounts and suddenly make a 51% attack into the registry. So this is not like getting a username and a password, but this is a new way of trying to understand how identity might work on Web3. And once you go through the hassle of doing proof of humanity, then you have the opportunity to use your proof of humanity address as a way of signaling over. There's a bunch of social networks that are now using proof of humanity to certify that the account that you're interacting with is a real human and not a bot. You are able to participate on DAOs that are run as a democracy. There's a couple of interesting projects that are doing zero-knowledge NFTs. So with zero-knowledge NFTs, we can do secret voting with a guarantee that it's one person, one vote with proof of humanity. It's a very early project, so if you are curious to discover what a crypto project looks like in its first year, proof of humanity is still one of those projects. Very, very early phase right now. But the exciting thing for me, which is the same thing that excited me back in the day about Ethereum, is that it has an amazing community. A community that has a solidarity all over the place, where the crowd vouching groups. There's another group called Rolling Funds that they're trying to pay for the deposit of accounts that come from people that might not have the resources to pay for that. There's a DAO called Proof of Integrity that is also working in slums in Argentina and in other places to make sure we can onboard people that really could make very good use of UBI. So it's great to see a community that it's building with more empathy and a social conscience on Ethereum, and Vitalik is probably the main leader that has been supporting this project, which is also a very significant endorsement, because it speaks greatly about where his heart is when it comes to think about these networks. The fact that he came to Argentina, the fact that he wanted to visit a slum in Argentina and disregard some of the other invitations he had that were probably more luxurious programs. So it's to me it's really exciting to see what's going on with this project, and it's very early, and we have a lot of challenges, scaling, reducing gas fees, working on a roll-up, optimizing here and there. But I think that the Kleros and the Democracy Earth communities have contributed significantly to the success of the project so far, and I'm excited to what's in store for 2022.
Tati, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. As I mentioned at the top, I'm writing a weekly newsletter, generally about the metaverse, about Web3, AR, VR. So if anyone has any tips, suggestions, topic ideas, please reach out to me here on Twitter, or you can email metaverse@time.com. So again, thank you, and I'd love to turn it back over to Maya and Keith and the gang.
Thank you so much, both of you. Just incredible. I think we could go on with this for much longer, and we just wanted to introduce Andrew in this incredible conversation into this time hall today. But generally, Andrew and what he's covering in the Metaverse newsletter will be brought to life regularly here. And next time, I think we'll do it as a standalone with more time to really be able to continue this fascinating conversation. And love everybody's participation and interest in getting involved. So, so thank you all around. Really, truly incredible. And we're so grateful that you were able to join us here today. I guess I'll turn it over to Timo for the community updates.
Perfect. Thank you, Maya. And that was, that's an incredible conversation. I can't wait to actually hear more about that. So thank you for joining us today, Santi and Andrew. Real quick, if Tag, you can raise your hand, I'll pull you up on stage here real quick. For those who don't know, Tag is was the winner of our used time cat contest. But last week was busy working, wasn't able to attend. And so we just wanted to pull him up and say thank you and share our appreciation with that. While we're waiting for Tag here, I want to welcome all the other communities. We have had a huge influx of growth over the last few days and weeks, and it's just lovely to see all these new faces here and get to know everybody. So thank you for all sticking around, and feel free to hang out, ask questions, explore the Discord. This hopefully is a new home for you, and we're happy to have you. This week, I do want to give a Person of the Week to a new individual. This week, we're rewarding someone for their incredible generosity, as well as their kind attitude in the Discord and helpful nature. And just as a proof of that, one of the biggest things that they did without any asking or prompt, just kind of slid into my DMs one day and said, "Hey, I actually have retyped your FAQ page in Spanish. And here's a Google Doc, and it has all the other pages that are ready to go. And as I have time, I will type them up." And so I really want to thank Anna, Matt, Eth, for doing that, and they are our Person of the Week. I will tag them here in the chat, so everybody give them some love this week. All right, here we go. There is, oops, wrong tag, but that's their username. Also, speaking on the note of updating the Discord, spent a few days kind of just tidying up channels, getting stuff looking a little shinier and updating links and things like that. So 2 of the channels that we've redone are the Rules channel and the Official Links channel. So do feel free to check those out. Just familiarize yourself with kind of what's up to date there. We added Looks Rare to our Official Links. And just kind of set out a more clear set of insta-ban rules for people who are violating those. So additionally, we've added in some new roles. You can probably see it in the chat right now. Some people have blue on their names and a little globe next to them. That's our new Genesis role. So it's not mandatory right now. We were hoping that our bot would basically be able to just automatically refresh, but it seems like it's not doing that as fast as we'd like. So if you do want to have the most up-to-date roles, I would suggest just refreshing your verification over in the Verify channel, and that should populate with the most up-to-date roles. And stay tuned, because we may have some channels opening up for specific role holders soon as well. Quick note on the Cool Pets allow list. That mint has moved to the 31st. And so I do want to just let everybody know that it was a thing they covered yesterday in a town hall, and basically said, hey, for security purposes and to make sure we're getting this absolutely perfect, it did get moved to Monday. So if you were one of our 100 winners in those, do check in with the Cool Cats. They should have a list up where you can verify that your wallet is correct, and DM me if it was incorrect. But just so everybody isn't trying to mint tomorrow, that's the update there. Lastly, this is more of just a friendly reminder. Our mod team is amazing, and I'm fortunate enough to be the community manager here. So if you do have questions, please reach out to one of the mod team or me. That is our job. The team has been incredibly busy setting up this amazing new drop, and we want to be able to let them focus as much as they can on making sure that this drop is what everybody is hoping for and expecting. So do feel free to just reach out to me or the mods, and please do refrain from pinging members of the team, just so they can focus on that. Tag, it looks like you're up here. Tag, how you doing?
Yeah. Fine, thanks. Thank you for invite me to be there. I'm quite nervous. And there are about 600 people there, so I'm not very confident with my spoken English.
That's okay. No, yeah.
It was a pleasure to make the design of the Crumpled time cat. I hope you enjoy it, and I'm very glad to add my little touch to the community with it.
Absolutely. And everyone seems to love it so far, and thank you for designing it. Do you have a magazine that looks like that? Were you able to use something for reference, or was that just something you came up with on your own volition?
No. Actually, I just made it in 3D. It was quite simple to do that, but I just a flash ID when I did read the contest rules, and I made it. That's all.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your contribution to the community. Everyone has just continuously told us how much they love that new cover, and we really, really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be able to see some more designs from you in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much, Tag. We loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I'm going to move this on to Bharat here for some tech updates, but thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you around here in the community.
Thank you, Tag.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tyler. So, as you know, we have the registration open today. The team is working pretty feverishly to get last-minute bugs fixed, and a lot of work went around the front end, back end, UX, security. So all of that is coming to place. So around 5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. UTC. So we're getting ready for it. So next week we'll go a little deeper into sort of how the minting contract and everything works. And TJ will be here on stage to give us more detail. So that's pretty much the update I have today. Not a lot, but happy to answer any Q&A questions you all have about the registration. We're making sure everything goes smoothly. By the way, I want to say thanks to Santi and Andrew for the amazing conversation, near and dear to my heart as well. So all I can think of is like, how can we contribute to it? And please do check out Santi and Andrew. Please do check out our Q&A section. There's the Time Hall Q&A. There are a lot of questions for you as well, for you to absorb. What else? Maya, Keith, anything else? Tyler, anything else we should update on the tech front that you all think of?
Not that I know of, but I'll be sure to
Okay.
push anything out that we come up with over the week to the community so everybody's up to date.
Awesome. All right, so let me pass it on to Lane.
Thanks so much, Bharat. And thank you, Tag and Andrew and Santi. What an amazing group of guests today. What amazing announcements we've had this week. So thank you all, 613 people, for listening. So as we've discussed, I just wanted to reiterate, we have some exciting programming and kind of key dates coming up. So later today, around 5 p.m. Eastern, registration will open for Slices of Time on nft.time.com. We'll absolutely make an announcement here, both after the Time Hall with all the details that we discussed today and before registration starts. Friday, we have a super fun conversation with Nyla Hayes and Kat Graham about creativity. That will be on Discord at 3 p.m. And we'll have another artist talk with some of our Slices of Time artists on Tuesday at 5. We'll announce those guests shortly. So again, we will post all the registration details in announcements after the Time Hall. And that's really it for me today. We will have a POAP. As my usual kind of ending words, if you are new to Timepieces, what you'll need to do to claim the POAP is drop your wallet address in the channel POAP tomorrow. Tyler, did I miss anything on the process there?
Look for it here in about a minute.
Fabulous. So I think that's it for me today. Keith, Maya, Bharat, Tyler, any parting words?
I think we're looking forward to the registration, and do ask us any questions in the questions channel. We're here to answer. I think Keith's having some mic issues, but Maya, do you want to close it off?
Oh, I think you just did a great job. I just wish everybody a great week with the continued momentum, and thanks so much for being here. We look forward to seeing you all next week and talking to you on the channel in between. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.